Disclaimer. This video is for entertainment purposes only. Do not attempt this at home. Vitiated how to will not be responsible because you decided to be a cheap ass and not hire a professional.
On with the show.
I think for now this will be the last of the playlist. I mean, there's going to be a lot more, but just for today, this is going to be the last one. The biggest question, there'll be one more after this too. One more after this, but that's something else. How do I deal with the heat and how do I cook and blah, 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 blah. Look, it's like this. To understand, the windows in these suck. They are single pane. You might find some that are dual pane, but that's real heavy. So there's that. How do you deal with the heat? Well, I spent the entire summer experimenting with it, and it's fairly easy. You gotta understand, most of these, especially mine, originally came with one AC, a duct system, which is that dumb shit right there, which is moronic. But back then, before all the things have changed in the world and it got hotter, that system was fine. Now it's not. So what I did, what I've done some Sanford & Son. These here are the original curtains. And just for a little side note, the slide here, the outside wood that they put this together with is 1/2-inch OSB board, just like the floor. Well, mine is 1/2-inch. Yours might be 1/4-inch OSB, but it's 1/2-inch on mine. So with that being said, when it gets hot, it gets hot. So how do you deal with it? I'm a firm believer in slide toppers. Believe me when I tell you, I'm a firm believer. 3 of my slides don't have it because the guy I got it from, they had a storm come through and it hit them and tore them up, but I think other things had happened. He left a bunch of shit out. So the only one that has it is the bedroom. So the entire summer, when that duct system worked, I didn't have to have the AC on in the bedroom if I didn't want it. I only had the AC on to cool the rest of the trailer. That's another thing, because there's a slide topper over that slide. So I am a firm believer in that because it gives you 4 inches of a buffer. Secondly, I Sanford & Son'd it because I went out and got old blankets, old comforters, and I put them over the window. So when the sun would come around to a certain point, that time of day, I would put them down over the window so that way it didn't radiate in here. So that way I wouldn't sweat and freezing at the same time, because it would be hot in a certain area and then AC would be blowing all the time, so it'd make it be cold and hot and cold. And so I fixed all that because the little dinky little shades that this RV came with were garbage. So I found different things, and a few things actually did work. I'll show them to you. I got some really thick blackout curtains. I'm talking thick. These bad boys right here, they're dual. I cut one in half. You see that there? How it's 2 pieces and it made it thick? Yeah. And I put that over the windows. So when the sun is on that side, I'll close it. And then when the sun moves to the other side, I'll open it back up so that way there's sunlight in. And then I got a bigger ceiling fan. I did a lot of research. What was here was a 42-inch. I put a 52-inch. Funny enough, this 52-inch weighs the same exact as that damn 42-inch did. Because it's the original. and where it's mounted and what it's holding works perfect. So I changed that, and I also took and put it on pull instead of blow down. It pulls up, so that way it pulls the cold air from the floor up, and it throws it through the whole trailer this way and that way. There's a little butterfly up there, little dinky little thing right about there. It was a whole little thing, whole little string before it flooded. And that's how I would tell where the air circulation was, and I would adjust my ceiling fan and the speed from there. Now when it hit the July and August, this bad boy got hot. It didn't matter me being in the shade or not, just the ambient temperature outside was in the 90s. So I had to accommodate for that. You can put stuff around it, some kind of a skirting that will help keep the coolness in, because you lose some of your heat or lose some of your AC through the different little cracks in your slides and all the other shit. So you can put something around there to kind of help a little bit, because being in the shade helps some, but not a lot. I had to run both ACs and leave the two doors cracked, the bathroom and the other door, so the air would come out here, and then my duct system would blow it through that way too, so it helped. Another thing is your slides. No matter how good they seal, there's still going to be some kind of residual air come through it. It's like with mine here. That one over there is so tight on that side. It's so tight, it's unreal. But also, no air came through it. This one here, they were tight, but you could still feel the heat kind of radiant a little bit here and there. No air or nothing, you just could feel the residual heat. So I covered that up. Another thing I discovered, because I didn't have a slide topper, I took a I forget what they call it, shade cloth that I paid a couple bucks for, and I drooped it over one of the slides where the sun mainly was, and that helped a lot, because it knocked it down a little bit to where it wasn't so hot. So that helped a lot too. And another thing, you gotta, when you're cooking, people have said, I've heard a lot of people say, oh, why don't you open the vents in the top and let the heat out? Yeah, go for it. Go ahead. Open that vent up. Go right ahead. Watch how fucking hot it gets. Been there, done that. It don't help. The only time I open the vent in the bathroom is either when I'm using it like an attic fan to pull the coolness in, or when I'm in the shower or whatever. Other than that, I don't do it. I learned the hard way. Another way to deal with heat is if you're cooking. Like, I'll show you. Because I have a air fryer / some kind of convection doohickey thing here. And then I got a cast iron plate back there, so it doesn't burn up the walls that are paper. If I can, I'll take that outside and do it when it's real hot, because it ain't gonna hurt anyway. And if I'm cooking more than one thing at a time that won't fit in this, like say I'm using two of my New Wave plates, the induction hot plates, I'll take both of them outside, because I can plug one into the trailer electric and set it on 900 watts. And I can plug the other one into an extension cord that's the proper size for the power that's at the pedestal. So that also helps deal with the heat too. Have a little oscillating fan helps. We have one in this living space, and we have one in our bedroom too. But just in general, everything produces heat. So you just got to be mindful about all that. The TV produces heat. Oh boy, does it. That TV produces heat. The light bulbs produce heat. So even some LEDs, like this one here, it's not a lot, but it does some. The house lights, I'll turn them on. I'm kind of running off something else to where my converter's messed up. It's where I don't really have the house lights on, but I'll turn these on to talk about the heat. Those there are all LEDs. The ones that are still in there, they're all LEDs. Why? Because the, I guess, incandescent, whatever this came with, is so hot to the touch that it'll burn your fingers. I ain't playing, it was hot. The glass of them, that right there, to touch that was 100 degrees. I bullshit you not. Just touching that one was 100 degrees. And now there's 2, 4 in this living space that were on all the time. So that's a lot of heat. Then you got the 2 over there that if that was on, so that would make it 6, 7. There's like 13. That's just those lights. That doesn't count that light, which I don't have an LED for, but that light there is just as hot as what the top ones were. So I had to be real mindful about running the house lights until I put the LEDs in. Now, in the wintertime, you can switch back to those because that will help you heat the place if it's in the wintertime and you're staying in the wintertime. But it's going to use a lot more power. So you take this, take that. Your refrigerator, depending on what you got, electric or power, that refrigerator right there, the theory was that it produces twice as much heat as it does to cool. Which on a given, I can kind of see that. So yeah, there's a lot of heat there. That when it's like 55, 56 degrees outside, it's cozy in here. It's about 65 in here because of that refrigerator. If the converter was working, it would be 70. So yeah, it gets really hot. And oh, those there, those lights, I could stand right here to this. To the end of that, that's 6 foot. And I could feel the heat off those lights before I changed them to LEDs. So that's all the other things you got to take in consideration, because everything produces some kind of heat. So you have to understand that to make it work. And you just got to play with it. So it is what it is.